The road to being somebody in this society starts with education. With education.
It is difficult to draw the lines between personal privacy, family privacy, but I think as a society we've had more than enough examples.
You know, they've just been minding their own business and they got hit by a meteor. You know, I'm not sitting here as some little woman standing by my man like Tammy Wynette. Every time she called distraught saying her life was going to be ruined.
But that is exactly where it goes.
Think so?
Right there in the middle on the top.
Good.
Looks great, Martha.
Questions come up and we'll just keep doing our best to answer them and hopefully it'll end at some point. I think that's only natural.
When I started this campaign, I'm not sure I knew quite what to expect. Lifting up our children with better education. Education. I hope you'll give me that chance. Long-term care.
You know, I happen to think that it is just totally off base. It's, you know, so far out, it's hard to even understand and take seriously. But what people are talking to me about is not that. I got to tell you.
My friends, we have a march to finish. I will be reintroducing the Count Every Vote Act to ensure that every voter is given the opportunity to vote, that every vote is counted, and each voter is given the chance to verify his or her vote before it is cast and made permanent. We have to stay awake. We have a march to finish. On this Lord's Day, let us say with one voice the words of James Cleveland's great freedom hymn. I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. And we know if we finish this march, what awaits us. St. Paul told us in the letter to the Galatians, let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. The brave men and women of Bloody Sunday did not lose heart.
Whether they're living in rural Iowa or inner city New York or anywhere else.
It was really silly. I'm glad nobody was around. And
I dream of going up to her and sitting down next to her, taking her in my arms and saying, look at me, listen to me. You will survive. You will have a good family of your own and 3 children. And as hard as it might be to imagine, your daughter will grow up and become the President of the United States.
You've dealt with him yourself. What's your own impression of him?
I do think it's imperative that the Prime Minister do what he can to stop the rise in COVID in the UK. Oh. He doesn't need to shut the society down, but he does need to mandate vaccines.
By mandate vaccines, you mean what we would call vaccine passports, insist that people coming into buildings, into clubs, into restaurants show evidence they have
employers.
been vaccinated.
I mean, part of what we've done in New York, for example, is all of the big health systems, hospitals and the like, they've mandated vaccines. And so, for example, one very large one, 77,000 employees, 1,000 refused to get vaccinated, they were fired. And I think you've got to make it clear that we're not going to go back to lockdown. That is not going to happen. But if you don't get vaccinated and if you don't have proof of vaccination when you go into a club or a restaurant and employers don't enforce vaccines, we may see some problems here in the UK as the weather gets colder and people are forced back inside again.